So how are you doing, guys, and welcome. It is Kraken here. Today we're going to be looking at why Alpha 20 is going to be the biggest update that the Fun Pimps have ever dropped. I've done all the hard work for you. We're going to delve into the dev diary, all the dev streams, and look at what the Fun Pimps are actually trying to tell us about Alpha 20. Let's get cracking.
Yeah, I have one in the opposite direction.
And by the way, everybody, this exploding trick like this, it's probably not going to work in 20, so I don't know if I would try it. No, I think the first time you do a buried supply in Alpha 20, it'll be an interesting experience.
There you have it from Lathan himself. Buried supply treasures are going to be changing. The Fun Pimps have confirmed that there are now going to be tier 3 buried supplies as well. But no longer are we going to be able to use the dynamite to quickly find that loot.
At some point, though, they will have a more progression-based inventory.
This I find very exciting, both in the beginning parts of the game and later parts of the game. In the beginning, hopefully there'll be more affordable stuff, maybe like a bicycle, so we can actually get started at a reasonable price rather than having the Harley Davidson chopper in there at a price that we just cannot afford or make the money fast enough. And in the later game, hopefully we're going to start seeing tier 6 tools, weapons, guns, things like that we can actually use and spend our dukes on rather than just smelting them down for brass all the time.
So currently, the slows and the fasts do not speed up or slow down the vehicles. That will probably change in Alpha 20. We will be adding more stuff into 20 for this system, but we're going to do it kind of like a beta. In 20, we will be adding more commands.
And we're planning a super secret build that doesn't even exist.
2 votes will pop up. One will be kind of a good and bad buff. Thank you for the follow. And then one will be a horde that will spawn, probably midday. But we have to kind of balance it.
So in 19.5, we did see the introduction of Twitch integration, and that has been a massive boost for the game. As you can hear, they're going to be continuing work with that into Alpha 20, adding more commands and this voting system as well, which is going to be really, really good. If you haven't already, make sure you come out and check out my Twitch integration stream, which I do every Thursday night.
Yeah, they're super cool. You can basically make them from pipes, wood, and a little bit of duct tape. And basically they use the same ammunition as the regular guns, so you can specialize on day one. Basically, if you can find yourself a few materials, you can start getting ammo and crafting your own little firearms. And we got shotguns, automatic weapons, pretty much everything.
Happy to be sticking around like junk at the bottom of wrecked boot.
And they look really cool, really post-apocalyptic, homemade looking stuff. There's like, pop bottle silencers, and they all have, all the weapons for A20 have their own custom mod models now. Even all the legacy weapons have been reworked to have their own custom scopes, and every attachment is custom per weapon. It's really nice looking now. Stretch the game out a little further. They're not as good as the the tier 1, the old tier 1 firearms or whatever, but they're good. They're usable and they get the job done. And it just adds more progression.
So finally, we're going to be saying goodbye to Blackbeard's blunderbuss. The blunderbuss is no longer going to be in the game, and they're going to be replaced with these new pipe weapons. With the way the game works at the moment, you only really use the blunderbuss for the first 3 or 4 days in the game. I don't think the Fun Pimps would have put this much effort into the pipe weapons if that was going to still be the case. So I imagine that they're going to draw out the beginning of the game a little bit longer, which Joel did actually touch on right at the end of that clip.
The player build menu is really coming along. We have you basically craft one wood frame and you can change it to any kind of shape. So we've removed a lot of clutter with unique recipes for just basic shapes.
And it gives you every shape in the whole damn library. A new placement shader too, so that when you place a block, it's got shadows and it's lit properly, so you can see exactly what rotation it is when you're building. It's fantastic. And we've added a ton of new shapes too. Awesome that everything's unified. You know, no matter what you're building with, wood, steel, concrete, the block shapes are all in the same location. So you know you start to gain a muscle memory of where everything's at pretty quickly once you start using it. And you know, I like to build cool bases, so I don't have to cheat any blocks in anymore. I can just build have access to every shape. Builders are just going to absolutely love it.
If you know anything about me, you'll know that I love building in this game, and this is great news. So now we're actually going to have all of the shapes and a better way of seeing what rotation or what way we can actually place these shapes down, because that has been a nightmare in the past, just constantly trying to find the rotation, and things like the rebar not actually having many shapes in their menu. So now we can go from wood to cobblestone up to concrete. There's not going to be any wet concrete stages anymore. It's going to be an instant upgrade, but they're not going to downgrade blocks anymore. So if the zombies knock out your block, the block is gone. So if you've got a steel block, it is not going to go from steel back down to reinforced concrete, down to concrete, and so on. It is going to disappear. So they're going to have to balance the amount of hit points that each block has, else the zombies are just going to come and kill us. And that is not fun.
When we are doing a console version at some point, we really are. The team has a full desire to do it, and we're looking for partners. Actually, we have a person from Unity working with us that is starting on some early work on that.
See? You heard it here first, everybody.
So there you have it, guys. Finally, some confirmation that there is going to be a console update. And they're already working with somebody on some of the earlier parts of the game, and they are looking for partners. They're actively looking. So after all the issues they had with Telltale Gaming going bust and them having to buy the rights back for their own game, finally they're going to sort it. I started off playing this game on the PS4 and I absolutely loved it. I only jumped over to the PC before I did any of the YouTube stuff or anything like that, because I could see the updates coming and nothing happened.
It's something simple, but Joel's been playing New Feral Sense, which is like a game options that makes the game kind of more interesting in how the zombies perceive you and are aware of your presence.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. They can sense you a lot further away, and pretty much every zombie in the world's gonna just kind of seek you out. They can't GPS to you like Horde, but they kind of do.
Now this sounds very exciting. The more ways we can customize the game and make it harder or easier for ourselves is going to be great for the experienced player and to bring new players into the game and not get constantly killed over and over again. This reminds me of when you used to have meat back in the day and the zombies used to have a smell sense, which they don't have anymore. If you were carrying raw meat on your person, that would draw more zombies to you, which was a really good mechanic.
District tiles, they're calling them, which are these large sort of street sections that connect between like intersection. It makes the cities look really like better than Nav's game is in 19 in a lot of ways, because of all the details put into city blocks.
There's cul-de-sacs, you know, at the end of residential neighborhoods. There's drainage ditches, stop signs, stop lights, crosswalks. The roads have, you know, the paint on them on the center lines. It's just leveled up so much.
So if you haven't already, go and check out my last video about the Alpha 20 top 5 updates. That video, we go deep into all the changes about random gem. But since then, we've had quite a few improvements about these district tiles. So I've put a load of dev artwork up on the screen for you. The graphics of this game are just going up tenfold. They look really good. Things are becoming more realistic. The towns guns are looking phenomenal now. They are actually looking really, really good, which is really exciting for the game. Also, we now know about the biome multipliers that are going to be added. So the forest, you're going to be playing at a normal level, but you're never going to find the top tier types of loot. When you go into the desert, there's going to be a 1.5 multiplier added to the game. When you go into the snow biome, there's going to be a 2 times multiplier added to the game. And then when you go into the wasteland, there's going to be a 3 times multiplier added to the game. So if you want to get those top tier kinds of loot, guns, weapons, tools, and all that lovely stuff, we're going to have to start doing raids in the other biomes, which is going to be a really good extension to the game. A lot of the time you can find yourself just staying in the forest biome for the whole of the game because it is that big, but now it's going to make us venture into those other kinds of zones. The way random gen is now working, we can basically say goodbye to nitrogen. They have added so many sliders and different ways that we can customize the map just like we could in nitrogen. So that's going to be really, really good to make more better random gem maps for ourselves. Certain buildings can only spawn into certain types of towns and regions, and some of those will be in the snow biomes, the desert biomes, and the wasteland biomes. So we're not going to see a repeat of loads of the same types of buildings or 7 Dishong towers all being in one city. Plus, there's 100 to 150 brand new POIs that are going to be ready Alpha 20. Now for me, this is the biggest game changer that 7 Days to Die has ever dropped. Modular POIs. So these POIs are going to be customizable, so they're going to have kitchens, garages, things that are built into certain shapes and sizes, which then can be changed to something else of the same size. So you can go into the same house from the outside looking identical, but when you go into the house, everything has moved around and changed around, and this is really going to come into its own when we start looking at the bigger tier 5 POIs. So the path that you took the first time going through the POI, following it like a dungeon, might be totally different the second time you go through that particular POI. Now they're not going to be doing loads of these to get started because it is going to be a hell of a lot of work to do. As each alpha progresses, more and more of these will happen, and with those new POIs being added to the game, no doubt that they have actually already put this into practice straight away. So every single time you go through a POI, it could be totally different. So even though they're adding more and more POIs to the game, which is fantastic, each time you go through another POI, it might be totally different. So rather than knowing where that final loot is and just jumping up to the final loot or nerd poling to the top to quickly grab it, it might not actually be there. It might be somewhere totally different that time. Now, if you want to know the easiest ways to get great loot at the beginning of the game, I've got a video all about that with 10 of the best POIs that you can get amazing loot from on day 1, and I'll put a link for that in the description below and a card for that right above us now. Vehicle mods. This is something that we've been wanting in the game for such a long time, to be able to distinguish between which is your mini bike and which is somebody else's mini bike, so you don't keep on stealing each other's bikes, mini bikes, choppers, 4x4s, gyrocopters. So being able to paint these and make these customizable, I always thought would be an easy thing, and I'm surprised it hasn't come into the game since the modifying slots have been there for so long. It amazes me it's taken this long, but finally it is going to be there. Also, they've spoken about being able to add the gas tank mods to them, maybe turbos or superchargers, and also about player carts. So you might be able to put a cart on the side of your motorcycle or your mini bike and actually be able to take somebody else with you. Obviously the Jeep can already hold 2 people, which is great. Having a gyrocopter that could hold 2 people or a motorbike that can hold 2 people would be a real game changer, really help the multiplayer aspect of the game. Now, the introduction of these HD zombies have really helped the graphics of the game. So I've got some screenshots here of just some of the dev artwork that we can see of the new zombies. We got the new zombie cop. Also, we have the new hazmat zombie. We've got the new zombie dog, the new burnt zombie, the nurse zombie I showed in my last Alpha 20 updates video, and the same with the new Hawaiian, which they've actually already added to the game. There is the new hoodie dude, which is a brand new zombie being added to the game, and we have the lumberjack as well. Now, they have spoken about a brand new screamer, HD screamer, being added to the game, but we've got no artwork of that yet, and the feral white is going to be turning into a HD zombie as well, but again, no artwork for that, so really interesting to see what they come out like. Now, this is something I've never actually experienced in the game. It was Horde mode. Now, apparently this is coming back to the game according to the Fun Pimps. By the looks of it, it was a small area, no zombies during the day, themed airdrops to give you all the food, ammo, all the building materials and everything you need, and basically you built during the day as fast as you could and defended it by night, a bit like Horde every night, which reminds me a lot of Gnar mod, which is a really good mod that's out there for you to be able to play, by where you have to defend a vending machine and you got jukes for killing zombies, and you bought everything from your vending machines. They had all the building blocks and everything like that in there, and that was where the GPS was set for the zombies to try and take down, so you couldn't just run away from the vending machine. They would not follow you, they would still be going for that vending machine, and that was a really good different type of gameplay, and by the looks of it, we're going to have something like that now built back into the game.
Release dates for 20. Well,
so when is Alpha 20 going to be released? Who knows? With the Fun Pimps, it could be any time. It was meant to be March, but we're way past that now. I predict probably sometime around the Steam summer sale. Probably around that kind of time is my prediction, but who knows? Who does know when it comes to the Fun Pimps? So that's everything from me then. Make sure you go and check out my last video on the top 5 things to Alpha 20, and that will keep you completely up to date with everything that we know about Alpha 20 so far. Please consider subscribing if this is the kind of content that you would like to see. I've got plenty of other videos and playlists on my channel. Currently we're playing through Wasteland Treasures at the moment, a world full of only wasteland, and also I've got my series on Can a Nerd Survive the Zombie Apocalypse. Big thumbs up on the video as always, comments down below, always love to hear from you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Take it easy.